All right. Good morning, guys. Welcome to my Monday morning rant for Monday, the 26th of October. What a week that was. Did an awesome podcast with Alexi from Noriyaro. Um, the guy has so many followers. It is insane. That video has the most views of all my recent videos at over 2,000 views. Um, it was a good time and just a good catch up, and hope to do it again. I'm glad so many people enjoyed it. Um, Also did a podcast with actor Daniel Fletcher. He's a guy that I went to uni with, and haven't caught up with since then, pretty much. So it was just awesome to see how we both did the same design course together, but how we're both in completely different fields within the industry. And it was such an awesome chat. The amount of views we have on that video is only 34 at the moment. It sort of pales in comparison to the video I did with Alexi, but the video itself was just the podcast itself was just so awesome, and there were so many moments in it that brought up so many awesome memories for myself. And I also thought that Dan made some really awesome points about life in general. So if you guys have the time, definitely check that one out. Um, Also had a boozy lunch with Viv and Ellie, friends of mine, and um, the first thing I saw on the menu was $195 Wagyu steak, and I just had to order it. And you guys know that scene in The Matrix where Cypher, I think his name was, he has a piece of steak in The Matrix, and he didn't care that it wasn't real. It was just so freaking good that he didn't care, and ignorance is bliss kind of thing. And man, like I haven't had a steak that good in a very long time. Um, it was well worth the money, and yeah, I'm glad I don't eat like that a few times a week or every day of the week. Like some of the people that were in there, I noticed just were so loaded on cash. You could just tell that that's what they do all day, just eat that fine dining. And man, just eating a shit ton of McDonald's all month and then eating a steak like that, it just like, okay, not all cows are created the same. Um, all right, so I also put a call out on social media for some questions for this morning's podcast. It's not working too well for me, this Q&A thing. There's not that many questions coming in, but I do have a few, so I am going to run through them now. Um, the first question was this: Zen Garage hit the scene pretty hard and fast, and a lot of car folk got involved and identified with your brand. Are you happy with how well Zen took off? And what, if anything, would you change if starting from scratch again? Also, as part of people identifying with your brand, do you feel people expected too much from you or something from you in return? Okay, there's a few questions there. Yeah, I think Zen Garage did hit the scene really hard, and I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that we actually had a space, like a physical bricks and mortar warehouse space in Leichhardt. And at that time, there were a shit ton of blogs and forums and whatever groups launching on social media. And I really do feel like having our money where our mouths were, like actually opening a physical space, a community space, was what set us apart and probably really helped to launch the brand. You know, like even on our opening day, there was a queue of people waiting to get in, and honestly, none of us expected that. So we really did hit the ground running. So you're bang on there. Um, with how happy I was, well, yeah, 100%, man. Like I was so stoked that people were so keen to understand more about the concept of the brand, which developed over time. But like definitely happy, but I think when you ask like would I have changed anything if I could do it all over again, which never say never, right? Like I still think there's potential in relaunching the brand and having a physical space once again. But I think having business partners was a really big mistake for me. I think it's a double-edged sword. Like without my business partners, I would never have done it in the first place. Like my two business partners at the time had so much faith in me that they just said, "Look, Justin, we'll get the right space, and then you can just do whatever you want with it." And it was like a blank canvas. And as nervous as I was to sign legal documents and get into this business, I did it, and I couldn't back out after a certain point. And doing it helped me grow so much as a person. It just I just developed so many more people skills as well as business skills. But business is not really my forte. It's not that teamwork is not really my forte. So clashing heads with just the concept of business, and like even getting to a point where you have to sell X amount of product in order to make the rent or cover the insurance per week. If I was having a slow week, that pressure would just kill me. And it I'm not around in this life to sell X amount of t-shirts in order to keep a business alive. It just doesn't suit me. It doesn't suit my personality. So I found that really hard. And I think, if I was to start Zen up again, it wouldn't be about making sales. It'd be more focused on making sure the right people buy the product. At one stage we were talking to General Pants Co. And imagine if Zen got into General Pants, it just wouldn't be Zen anymore. Like people would be buying it with no fucking idea on what the brand meant. And end of the day, I get how a lot of people out there would be like, "What the fuck's wrong with that? Like, that's a great business. You're making money, money would be a means to buy more cars and whatever, buy a house or whatever." But like, I have always put 110% of myself into everything that I've ever started, and I don't think I could start something that I wasn't into 110%. So I feel like where Zen was going with how big it got at some stage made me lose sleep at night. And as as I know now, sleep is really important. If you don't sleep, you go fucking crazy. Um, so yeah, I hope that answers some of your questions. And whether I feel like people expected too much from me, or expected something in return, no, I don't think so. I think I really appreciated the love that the brand got. um I think the people who really get it, like that the people who are actively seeking their own Zen and trying to find their bit of peace in this world, like I really appreciate the people who love the brand and love the concept of it, and the whole "it's okay if you don't get it." It's not an attitude; it's an acceptance that if you're into something with all your might and someone makes fun of you for it, then it's not about hating those guys that don't understand what you're into. It's just accepting that, hey, it's okay if people don't understand you because of how crazy you are about a particular hobby or whatever it is that makes you happy. So, um, yeah, I never felt like people expected something out of the band. I think you get a little bit of that with anything, no matter what it is that you're passionate about. If you're modifying a car, there's always going to be someone that's like, You should get these wheels," or "What about this?" or "Hey, I don't like how you modified your car," and blah blah blah. And it's like, well, that's all right. You're allowed to think that. It's my car, so in the end, like, this is what makes me happy. And if you're not happy with it, well, that's cool too. I'm not sitting here trying to convince you. um so yeah, I hope I answered your questions. um Next question. Of all the photo shoots I've ever done, has there ever been a time that sticks out in your mind as your favorite, be it a model shoot, automotive, etc.? Cheers. The podcasts have been awesome so far. Thanks for the feedback. Honestly, these podcasts are not monetized. I'm not trying to make money out of this shit. It's very therapeutic for me. So if you guys can get something out of out of these podcasts, I am super happy, like legit so happy. Um, so yeah, photo shoots. Um, it's funny, like one of the first shoots that comes to mind is not shooting models. It's actually one night where um, the Porsche Center in Willoughby invited me out there after hours. So all the staff had gone home. It was just one guy that let me in, and I got to have a bit of one-on-one time with a build number one of the 918 Porsche Spider. Um, I felt like a kid in a department store that had shut down, and I had every floor of the department store to myself. Like I could eat the candy off the shelves and go to the toy department and open up all the toys and take them out of their boxes and play with them. That's how I felt. I even got to drive the thing forward and backwards within the space. Um, and I shot it from upstairs, from downstairs. I got to go down into their cave and their workshop, and I just was given checked out their storerooms as well. Like I got free reign to just walk around with my camera and just shoot stuff, and that has to be one of my most memorable automotive shoots, definitely. Um, in terms of shooting girls, yeah, definitely. CJ Miles from America, she really stood out. She's just a really crazy girl. Like she made me take my clothes off as well when I was shooting her, and I just thought that was hilarious. Um, and I thought it was only fair as well, and it made for a really interesting experience. And shooting Marquetta, who's known as Little Caprice, she's a porn star, and just someone that I'd watched on porn since I was younger, and just to have her in front of me and hanging out with her, she was a super cool girl. Um, Mad shoot, mad day. Um, Still pinch myself that it actually happened. And also just hanging out for a few weeks with Kasha Zhu from New York. She's an awesome artist, first, model second. Um, just such an awesome human being that has high highs, low lows, and I got to see so much of her and hang out with her, and she stayed with me, so we got to know each other really well. Um, just I think what runs in all three of those women that I shot were how confident these people are of their craft and what they do. And I've shot a lot of girls who are just getting into modeling or haven't done much modeling. And whilst it's always fun, I always love doing that and finding new angles and finding angles that I think are best for them. I think when you get to shoot with a girl who really knows how to model, it just lets you take your photography to the next level, um, and you just can just do what you do best and not go angle hunting as hard in order to try to get the right angles. Like these girls just really know what angles they look best at and when to move and how to move. So yeah, anytime I get to shoot a girl that really knows how to model, it's always awesome. Okay, next question is not a question, but I am loving the podcast. Would love to hear one on Charles Carr, Mark Bakula, and Kevin San at some point. Yeah, I really love these guys. Charles Carr is a living legend. Um, I would love it if you could spare me an hour. I know the guy works harder than probably anyone I know. So um, Charles Carr would be sick. And there's pivotal points in my life where he's come and saved the day for me. So I think I would have sold the GTR at some point if it wasn't for Charles. So yeah, definitely would love to get Charles on. Mark Bakula, I only caught up with him not too long ago, actually. And our catch ups are always super solid. I don't think the guy talks very much, he's more the quiet type, but I would love to get him on if he would be keen. And Kevin San for sure, man. Kevin and I still think like we did the best interview ever on JDMST. Like I interviewed a whole lot of people on the JDMST blog when it was around, and the interview with Kevin was just awesome. Like we did it over chat, and it just flowed really well. He's a super interesting guy. He's so intelligent. And he's the real deal. Like the first time I met him, he was wearing a Car Makes Corn t-shirt, like small MX5 workshop in Japan. And uh, the first time he took me out on the track and drifted his MX5. I think it might have been the first time I was in a car whilst it was drifting. So the guy is an absolute legend with a huge history with the Australian drift scene. Actually, something that a lot of people might not know about him. So yeah, I would love to get Kevin on for sure. Okay, on to the last question. Sorry about that edit. I just had like a choking fit, and excuse my watery eyes. What the fuck? Okay, I've read a lot of your pods, and I think he meant to say I've listened to a lot of your pods. He says, to be honest, I'm struggling. In the space of a year, he's had divorce, lies, and now multiple surgeries. If nothing else, he feels like he needs a hobby, but car parts are expensive. Lol. Yeah, bro. That's a tough one, man. Like, I hate hearing about people who are struggling. Hey, like, I know what the struggle feels like, and sometimes it just feels like you can't get your head above water, you know? Divorce doesn't sound fucking good. Lies are always shit. Multiple surgeries sounds savage, man. If you're physically unwell, you probably can't be mentally well. Um, yeah, needing a hobby is hobbies are a cool thing sometimes because it is like escapism, you know. But I think in your case, bro, like you need to look at the baby steps and like get well from the surgeries first, you know. Like multiple surgeries sounds pretty hardcore to me. So maybe the baby steps to get healthier again, um, and get stronger again physically would help. And like if you've just in a span of a year just gone through a divorce, man, you're not going to get over that anytime really soon. You know, like it sounds like something that's going to take some time to heal. So I think like it's like something that Daniel Fletcher said in the last podcast that I did. Just go easy on yourself, you know, like take it easy and be good to yourself and um slow down, you know, take some time. And I think yeah, hobbies are awesome for getting motivated again, and getting passionate about something helps to get your mind off a lot of crap and onto something. And learning is always exciting, and like, you know, we're students for life, right? So like, you know, by all means get into a hobby. It doesn't have to be cars, man. Like cars are expensive, but hobbies doesn't mean you have to build something. Like you could just try something new. You never know, you might like it, and then get into it. You know, like Hawk, this guy who I do the Geeked Out podcast with, he has had enough fun with the few podcasts that we've done, which is something that he's never done before. But just the other day, he ran out and bought himself a new microphone, and now he's hooked. Like now he's like freaking out at having so many podcast ideas in his head. And if anything, he's like he needs to slow it down because he's so excited about it. But in my opinion, it's awesome that he's gone from like not being confident and sure to a position where he's geeking out about it for real, and he's genuinely excited about it, and uh into it and passionate about it and learning something new at the same time because he's just having so much fun with it. So yeah, it doesn't have to be expensive, but I think sometimes like doing a hobby that where you put yourself out there a little bit, it's better than a hobby that you go introspective and go inside and, you know, like playing computer games, for example, like getting really good at a game. It's great escapism and stuff. But like, I think, you know, doing a podcast or doing a writing something about the game that you're into is more constructive and productive and better off for your health as well. So dude, I can only wish you all the best. But yeah, definitely take it easy on yourself. Hey. And yeah, if you need to reach out to me, I'm around. All right, guys. Well, not much of a rant. I'm just going to wrap it up. I am using my digital SLR for this podcast. It plugs straight into the iMac and is now there as a webcam. So this is using Zoom, which destroys the quality of my audio and video. But this, using my main camera that I shoot with the 35mm 1.4 as my webcam now, it feels good. Like, it just feels like a step up, because I've always hated the Logitech webcam. It was a waste of money. I've never thought it was any good. It's absolute rubbish. So it's so good to use this because it's an existing setup that I have. I didn't have to spend any money on it. Plug and play amazingly, thanks to a bit of software that Sony just released for their cameras to turn them into webcams. Um, Zoom picked it up straight away, no issues whatsoever. I am absolutely stoked. So yeah, I will be using this for all my podcasts from now on. Um, and this week I've got later today, actually later this morning, I've got Daniel Kajadi from Benzin Cafe. Um, the last Zen podcast I ever did before I had my breakdown was with Daniel and Alan. And that was in April of 2018. So yeah, it's been a long while. But I wanted to catch up with Daniel because he's having some issues at Benzin where some people are rocking up to his cafe and doing the wrong thing, doing burnouts and what have you, and it's like starting to piss off some of his neighbors. And we had that shit at Zen Garage. We've always had it at end of month meets. you know it comes with the parcel. You create something great, and it only takes a few rotten eggs to almost ruin it for you. So I thought I'd have a discussion with him about it, and an open discussion. And he's had a baby girl since I caught up with him as well, so I'm sure we'll talk about that. He's a busy man. It'll have to be a quick podcast. I'm pretty sure he's locked into another meeting or something special at 11 o'clock later this morning. So I'll record that and hopefully get it up later today or tomorrow. I've also got Ian Baker from World Time Attack. He's a great mate of mine. We've tried the last couple of weeks to get a podcast going, so I'm not 100% sure with him whether it's going to happen tomorrow or not, but we are booked in for tomorrow. If it doesn't happen tomorrow, don't worry about it. It'll happen at some point. I'm not in any kind of rush. Just looking forward to a funny podcast with Ian Baker. Like, he's an absolute legend. So I've never had a bad time hanging out with that guy. And I've also got Sean Cooper from Hustle and Flow. So Leslie is a good mate of mine, and he introduced me to Sean, who's part of the Hustle and Flow show with him. And Sean's actually reached out separately and has checked out some of the podcasts that we've been uploading, and he's liking what he's listening to, and he thought it'd be great if him and I just did a podcast together. So I am totally down for that. Just after meeting him once and doing a podcast with him for the first time before I'd even met him, he's just got an awesome vibe. I really like this guy. He just gives off this great, awesome human being vibes that I absolutely love. So really looking forward to that one. That's on Friday. I hope everyone has a great week. And yeah, just looking forward to these few more podcasts. I've got a few more shoots as well. So yeah, stay tuned for a lot more content, and I'll catch you guys next time. See yous.